once again, hello to all of you. I'm Foley, Papers, and you don't need to know that because I am not the person you're here to see. But before we bring out our wonderful four guests of honor, how many people have been to one of the panels that I've hosted before for a Q&A? Wow, okay, and you came back. That's very kind of you, thank you. How many people have done the whole postcard thing? Because we're doing the postcard thing. You have? Well, okay, cool. You're a veteran of Nightmare Nights, by any chance?
Yes.
There we go. So how this works. Wonderful, Jessie. How about a huge round of applause for Jessie, by the way? We'll be distributing note cards and golf pencils. If you have a question for our wonderful guests, please write it down on the card and put your hand in the air or just signal for Jessie and they will bring up those cards to me. So we've got a good hour and a quarter. I will start the conversations off, and then once enough cards have accumulated up here, I will start sifting them through, and we will see what our guests have to say in response. And while Jessie is handing those out, shall we welcome our guests to the stage one at a time? Oh, okay, let's try that one again. Shall we welcome our wonderful guests to the stage one at a time, yes? First up, the force of nature and eternal TrotCon guest, the one and only Ellie Ray. The one and only Ellie Ray. Oh, there you are.
I have to do my thing. I forgot my stuff.
How about a huge round of applause as well for Brian Dochois? Fabulous IDW artist extraordinaire, Tom Zala. And last but certainly not least, for her very first convention Q&A panel at her very first convention, Bahia Watson. All right, so those question cards are getting distributed. People are writing down their questions. In the meantime, let's talk. How are you all enjoying the con so far? And Bahia, I'm of course looking at you because this is your first con, and I'm so excited that you're here. Are you all excited that she's here? I would
Better here than in the castle.
Oh, yes. I'm having a great time meeting such lovely, kind, wonderful, interesting people, and I guess we're just getting started, so thank you. Yay! Showing me so much love and welcoming me over here.
Now, Brian, I wanted to talk to you as well because we were talking earlier and you mentioned that this is one of your first cons back, but one of your first pony convention was an online convention during the height of pandemic lockdown.
I did a couple in Vancouver. I did BronyCon in person, but that was like in 2017. That was my first experience. But my first TrotCon experience was online in 2020.
Let's just pretend that's what I meant.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it was a good time. It was a really, really good time, and I'm really happy to be here. So thanks everyone for having me.
You can applaud them. They're cool people. You can applaud. Tom, you've been to a good number of these now because you're, if I'm not mistaken, you're an Ohio.
I am.
Are people allowed to know that?
Yeah, sure.
He's an Ohio local. How many other Ohio locals do we have?
I'm from up near Cleveland. I live right on the lake.
Fantastic. And Ellie Ray?
What?
I've lost count of how many TrotCons you've done at this point.
I'm a fixture.
I mean, you keep TrotCon going when TrotCon's supposed to. The 2020 closing ceremonies are still not done because of you. You're keeping them going.
Lifer, lifer of the TrotCon family.
So, while those cards are going out, I want to start with the perennial classic question, which is just how did you first discover your love of your particular vocation? And Tom, I'm looking at you as a wonderful artist, and I'm looking at the rest of you as wonderful performers.
I have no memory of ever not wanting to be a cartoonist. My dad was very Machiavellian. He read a book that said that there's no reason a 2-year-old couldn't read, and I'm the oldest, I'm the one they wanted, and he did phonics pages with me, 3 pages a day, to teach me how to read, so that I would get to the point where we're like, let's do more, Dad. He's like, no, we'll do more tomorrow. So I was reading real early, and he used comics as a reward system. So they had a really well-behaved kid, and I had a lot of comics. And art was just always in the family, so I've never wanted to do anything else.
Remember any particular comics that caught your young attention?
I remember, I think there are 2 issues of Superman that I still have them, The Man Who Cried Super Wolf and one with a super watch. Those are the ones I remember having first, but I know that I've read them before because my dad had them. My dad went into the hospital before I was born and Mom got him a bunch of comics, and yeah, it was always around. It's just been very circular. It's the closest thing to being a Jedi and having somebody come and do your midichlorian count. I'm like, well, we know what you're going to be now. You don't have any choice in it, except with all the killing and the stuff.
I love that that's the night you end that on. Thank you. But yeah.
How did you
first get into it? When did you first realize that this is what you wanted to do?
I started as an actor, just like I started doing, being an extra, and then I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I started taking classes, and then I got into theater, and I was doing theater for a while, but kind of a constant throughout my whole life. People were like, you should do cartoons. You have a cartoon voice. You seem like a cartoon. And so I was like, okay. And then I just kind of started auditioning, and it all opened up for me, and it's like the funnest thing ever.
Did you start performing then as an adult, or was it something that happened in childhood?
As an actor, I started performing as an adult. I was doing dance classes and stuff as a kid, and my sister's a singer, and so there's always been kind of arts and performing around. But I had always thought I was the academic one in the family, and then I kind of was like, actually, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be an actor. So my mom took some time to get acquainted with this new direction.
You've anticipated my next question, but Brian, how about you?
So I always loved cartoons as a kid, right? And I thought when I was very young that the cartoons actually lived inside of the TV until, who here knows what Dragon Ball Z is? Yeah, Dragon Ball Z! One of the first voices of Goku, by the name of Kirby Morrow, may he rest in peace, he went on TV and did the voice of Goku, and I went, wait, that's an actual career. These are actual people doing the voices. I want to maybe look into doing that, right? Because I know so many people in the industry that just kind of fell into it, right? But for me, when I was about 14, 15 years old, I knew that this is what I wanted to pursue. And so I worked really hard and practiced a lot. I had a really crappy desktop microphone and a free recording software that I just practiced a lot when my parents were at home when I was a kid, and I got lucky. An agent showed up at my school to talk about how to get into the industry as a film and TV actor, and I asked her, hey, do you rep voice actors? And she goes, I don't, but my friend does. Send me your stuff. And I said, great, cool. And I walked away going, I have no stuff to send. And so I made something and I sent it off, and I got signed a month later, and just kept working my way up basically through the ranks in Vancouver, Canada, is basically what happened. It's my origin story. Yeah.
Other than Dragon Ball Z, were there any other cartoons that were particularly formative for you?
Teen Titans, Transformers, lots of anime. Grew up watching a lot of anime. We had a Friday night Canadian channel that would air a lot of anime on Friday nights called Bionics, and I used to watch that a lot as a teenager. It was a lot of fun.
And Ellie Ray. It's hard to imagine you not having sort of been performing since you
I
appeared in the world.
You know what? I am a cartoon. I came out. Reality to me is there's a kind of a veil. So I feel that all of the kinds of things that I did as a very young child, and everybody told me I was imagining things, and all my friends were not really there. And I had a very complex creative world that I danced in as a child, and I think it just carried on and it never really changed. I found myself always doing, telling stories, which is basically what every show that I've ever done is. But it's really, I think, like Bahia being theater trained sort of initially as a, the business part of things. It's the ability to entertain and bring joy to an audience. It's because of you, it's because of what, you represent, that I think it's that connection, this kind of thing where you go, oh, wait a minute, I want to tell stories, like sit around fires singing, dancing, and telling fable like I did as a child, because there's people and creatures and things that want to take in the story, which is what that is. It starts as a big sort of a theater love fest. It starts as, you receive the story, we keep giving the story, you are a part of the folklore of the story, and then we all kind of celebrate together because we ignite each other. It's that kind of ignition that I think is so key to healing us as human beings. It's exactly what we all are doing here, and I believe that you all are imaginative, creative storytellers as well. You just haven't, you're just not up here sitting here answering the question. But I think you're just the exact same as us. You just are part of the story in a different way.
The love and warmth and kindness in that answer is exactly why you keep being asked back to TrotCon. Am I right, folks?
Yeah! We love you!
Got another question actually here for you, Ellie, and thank you to everyone who's been sending up the questions. We'll do another round of note card distribution in a moment or two. But Ellie, how much glitter do you buy for each con, and why do you love throwing glitter? P.S.
Because
you are
I am
amazing.
told I'm not allowed to, and I'm a rule breaker. So what I do is they go, no glitter. But the wonderful thing about glitter and sparkle is it's celebration, and it captures the light in such a beautiful way. And most of the fans will, talk to me on Twitter or Instagram or whatever and go, 2 months later, I found a piece of Ellie in their clothing, which I absolutely love. So it's not like an autograph. It's something that hides. I don't know, there's somebody who was in the autograph, one of the fans was there, and I'm not supposed to throw glitter, even though I promised to clean it up. But so I'm saying, lift your shirt out, and I'm pouring it down people's shirts and putting it in their pants, because I'm just, as far as how much glitter, there can never be enough glitter. There will never be enough glitter! That's what I was wanting to say. So I'm not supposed to do it in the convention center, but tomorrow, because I have bags of it, as you're coming into the convention center, I'm going to be there glitter bombing you outside.
I have to ask, there were some members of the press outside earlier. Did you throw glitter on them as well?
I wish I had have seen members of the press. I would have totally pressed them with glitter, yeah.
So I've got a lovely question here, which was, what was your first "this is it, I've made it" moment? Whoever. That's for all of you. You can all chime in. Or I'll have to choose someone. I'll have to pick on someone like we're in school.
You haven't made it yet.
Well, I mean, imposter. Well, okay, we can do the flip
I'll
side
tell
of
you
that.
when
If
I
you
knew
haven't-
I'd made it, when I was still breathing. You know you've made it in life when you are still breathing. That's my take on life. So made it as a star or as a whatever. It's sort of like you're a star just being exactly who you are, breathing and a part of it. That's what I think anyway. Ta-da! Huzzah!
we'll add that to that. If none of you feel like you've made it, then how do you deal with your imposter syndrome on a day-to-day basis? Any tips?
Well, I would say, like, you know, I don't know. I don't know what it would be to make it. I mean, it's just like it's an infinite journey, you know? There's always something else.
There's something else to make it.
There's always something else to learn. So, I mean, I feel like, you know, as an artist, you're kind of never fully, or feel like, okay, and now I'm here, and now I've arrived. I think there's always something else that you wanna, I don't know, your curiosity is kinda.
Well, it's like every new character you do, it doesn't mean it's a better character or a better you. It's just another part, like you said, of the journey. So to make it, it's like we're constantly making it. It's creativity. It's making it every single time you do a character, right?
And every character is like beginning again. Every time you start a new project, you're like, do I even know how to do this?
Yeah.
Can I even act like you're kind of rebuilding it all over again every single time, it seems.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get complacent. Like, you don't want to solve the problem the same way every time. You want to figure out a different way to do it to keep growing as an artist. Like, I said, it's why I'll never get a tattoo. Because if I did, it'd have to be something I drew, and I would hate it 6 months later. As for making it, I walked into this convention and people were chanting my name, and that was pretty cool.
That was a fabulous entrance, I have to say.
The one thing that happened with me is I went freelance at the end of 2001, and when I bought a house, like when I realized I was stable enough to do that kind of stuff, because it was still a leap of faith to go from my day job, I was an art director, to go from that to having my own business and doing that full time. But once I did that, and you know, like it snuck up on me because it edited my history. I have to remember that I was an art director for a few years. Like, I don't remember that part of my life. It feels like those 10 years weren't there, and that this is just always what I've done. I forget the anniversary of me going off on my own every year because it just seems so natural now. But yeah, past that, you never make it to the top of the ladder, you make it to the bottom of a whole new ladder, so you have to keep figuring it out. It's from The Flash. The comic book, not the TV show.
You could have just said it's yours and you came up with it on the spot. I'd have believed you.
I would, but Mark Waid would have hunted me down and killed me, so.
Brian, what are your thoughts?
Well, the one thing that I've been really trying to work on is just trying to stay present in what it is that I'm doing, because I sometimes feel, in this business, it's so it's tough to stay present because you're always looking to what's next sometimes, and you can get really easily caught up in, okay, what's the next thing, versus what if we just stopped and celebrated what I'm working on, or what we have, right? And focusing on and just finding joy in what it is that we get to do. I mean, one of the things that I used to say to myself a lot when I was younger, and I'd get anxious and panic and all that stuff. And one of the things that I would always remind myself that would always, for lack of a better word, ground me, is I would say, I sleep in a bed that I bought with money that I made as an actor. And that's good. We're doing okay. So let's just keep moving forward. Let's breathe, and let's just celebrate as things come along.
And that's the word, it's celebrate. Like every single one, every pony here have made it. Every single pony here, you've made it. You've made it. I mean, we're right here, right now, celebrating together. Friendship is magic, bing bong. And I mean, what does it mean? We're here, actually celebrating. I love that word, because if you can think of moments in your life when you're like, it's that glitter moment, right? And you go, wait a minute, it's right now. It's right now. We can make it now when you've made it. We've made it. This moment is so beautiful that we're here together, going, yay, glitter, bomb, magic, bing bong.
Bing bong! Yeah, it's about this, right? Like it's about,
Yeah.
These moments of connection. So I want to dial it back a little bit to your experience with My Little Pony, and whether or not you had any experience with it in your life prior to having become involved in the franchise in your various ways? Was it a part of your childhood at all? Were you forced to watch it by siblings? Did you secretly watch it yourselves? Do you openly watch it? What is your background with Pony? And I know, Ellie, you were on some of the earlier gens, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, no. The only reason I am here is because of Tabitha St. Germain.
Ah.
Because I didn't know My Little Pony. I was usually locked in a basement and beaten as a kid, but no, I didn't know the show. I didn't know anything, and I used to cat sit when she would go to conventions, and she would come home with this, suitcases filled with T-shirts and artwork and plushies and stuff, and I'm like, what is happening? This is awesome. What is it? She said, it's My Little Pony, and I went, I've got to be on that show. I've got to be on that show. I love all this stuff. What is it? What is it? And I looked it up, and I was in Vancouver, and it was recorded in Vancouver. The 10 years it was The Last Generation. And I'm from Toronto, so I would never have an opportunity to ever audition for this show. But I was in Vancouver, and I said, I'm making it happen. I'm manifesting this. I'm going to be on My Little Pony, My Little Pony, My Little... And sure enough, I got an audition from Ralph in Vancouver, and long story short, I got cast in to Change a Changeling first. I played those changelings, but then I got cast as Mistmane, and the rest is history. And then I remember when I went to my first convention, I was like, I have found my people. Oh my God, this is my life, and I'm never leaving it, ever. Ever.
Well, we're very happy to have you. Brian.
I was just in love with that answer. What was the question again?
Right, we can just let Ellie take all of them. Experience with Pony prior to working on Pony.
All the actors in Vancouver were talking about it, right? Because we went, 9 seasons, a mini-series of Equestria Girls, 4 movies, a giant theatrical release. We did so much in Vancouver, right? So everyone was talking about it. And so whenever I would audition for the show, I'd get excited, right? Because, it was one of the most long-standing projects in Vancouver for a really long time. And, I say this at every, con that I go to. The reason why I'm on My Little Pony is because all of you kept it going for 10, 12, 15 years, or however long it was. Still, right? And so, it's still going, right? We got Gen 5 now. And so, booking the role of Timber really kind of helped solidify me, in a sense, in the Vancouver community, which I'm really grateful for the fandom for that, right? But I remember going, I got the role of Timber Spruce, and I'm gonna play Pony. And I watched Equestria Girls Rainbow Rocks, which was the movie prior to Legend of Everfree, just for research, right? And it was really well done. And I went, but they're not ponies. Well, I'm playing a human. I'm not playing a pony. Okay, I had no idea. I had no idea until I watched the movie prior to the one that we worked on. So that's more or less my experience.
Well, I definitely watched some, early generations of My Little Pony. Me and my sister used to watch it. We had the little toys and used to play with My Little Ponies, and so it was just always there as this, imaginative space. And I remember I swear I had a little, we called her Cascade. I don't know if we just made up that name or if that was her actual name. But this little pony that I swear looked like similar colors to Misty. That was our favorite one, me and my sister's favorite one. And so being able to be in My Little Pony and play the unicorn of my dreams is
And also, Bahia just won a big award called the ACTRA Awards. They are kind of the equivalents of, not a Tony, what would it be in the States? An Emmy? Would it be an Emmy? The equivalent.
Yeah, how about a
an
huge
Emmy
round of
for
applause?
her character
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I love Misty, and yeah, so I've always loved My Little Pony, and yeah, me and my sister used to play like epic days and days long games, dramas, you know, with our toys. So I wish I had those toys now. Probably worth something now. Like,
You can get them in the vendor hall.
You can. That was actually the
Maybe I'll
question.
find it in the museum.
Yeah, exactly.
There was the question there actually, do you have a pony collection? Ellie does.
Yes, I do.
Tom, I want to get you to answer that question, but I do want to pivot off that momentarily.
Wait.
What's
First,
up?
I just want you to know that my parents are older, and everything's fine. There are certain calls I have to take, which is why I keep running off the stage. So it's not like the president's calling me, which would be super cool. But no, everything's good. There's
I
just a
thought it was
couple.
a bathroom break is what I thought, because that's what I need to do.
My mom's coming to move in with me, so that's new.
We love your mom. Let's put our energy, all this beautiful energy for your parents.
She is my biggest fan. So, you said you wanted to piggyback off. Did you want to know how I got in My Little Pony? Or?
I will swing back to that.
Okay.
There was a question in here. Where did I go? Here we go. But here, you were talking about how wonderful it was to get to play a pony that resembled one of the ones from your childhood. And we've got a question here from Kiwi. How were you first approached by Hasbro to voice the wonderful mystery? Mystery. There, I knew I was going to screw up once. The wonderful Misty. There's a wonderful drawing on this as well that I'll pass over to you. By the way, love your voice. You suit Misty perfectly. So I'll hand that down to you.
Thank you. Oh, cute. Thank you. Well, you know, it's not the most interesting story. I just I got an audition through my agent, and and then I taped, and then I went in. I think we were still going in for auditions around that time, and eventually, actually, funny thing is, my sister also auditioned for it and got a few auditions in, and then after, I didn't know she was until I told her I got it. She was like, I auditioned for that too. I guess I didn't get it. She's happy for me now, though. But yeah, I just you know. Through my agent, the audition came through, and I gave it my best shot, and here I am.
So Tom, early experiences with My Little Pony. Were you aware of the franchise? Had you ever wanted to work on it?
I had seen the commercials during Saturday morning cartoons when I was a kid, but I got involved with My Little Pony to impress a girl. I have a book, Love and Capes. It's a superhero romantic comedy, and I was doing it through IDW. And
You should all check it out. It's on Patreon.
Yes. And Katie Cook and Andy Price did the first issue, and it blew up, and everybody knew about it, and it was huge. And IDW had a tendency to draw, they would have like 6,000 covers per issue. And so I went up to the editor at Comic-Con that year, and I said, hey, you do a lot of covers, you know that I'm on time and I can draw cartoony, and it really impressed my girlfriend. Could I get a cover? And Bobby, the editor, said, do you want to pitch the book? And I said, well, I'm not an idiot, yes. So I went home and I mainlined the show, and it was not what I was expecting. It was a lot deeper. Like, you know, you have this image in your head of what the cartoon is, and then it was so much more, and I'm like, oh, I can write for this. So I pitched a bunch of stuff. I got the Twilight Sparkle issue, the first issue of the micro series, and just kind of took off from there.
Thank you very much. That segues nicely into this one. What is your favorite memory working with the My Little Pony franchise? And whoever wants to take that first can take that, or I will call on someone.
Did I mention the part where people were chanting my name? I don't know.
Oh, there's too many. It's impossible. There's so many phenomena. Right now, this moment is my favorite.
Aww. Honestly, interacting with all of you, that's a real treat.
Yeah.
That's a real treat, to be honest. Additionally, just to, I'll share a little story. Is
Please.
When we recorded the Equestria Girls film, Legend of Everfree, Terrace Ron wasn't there, but we were recording more or less ensemble. The majority of the actors were in the studio, and we're all recording together. And I will never forget how kind and generous a lot of the other actors were on the day. So whenever I would have a scene with Twilight Sparkle, Nicole would read with me. or Tabitha would read with me, just so that I had someone to play off of, right? And they didn't have to do that, but it was really kind of them, and it really made me feel welcome. So I'll never forget that.
You can applaud, it's okay. It's encouraged.
Well, yeah, I would second that and say this here right now because, coming out of theater, I was saying how before that like you get the audience reaction like right away. You get to feel the people right away, and when you're working in television or film, it's like you just do it and send it out, and you don't get to feel that energy come back at you. And so this year right now is like very mind-blowing and meaningful. Just all the love, and to know that the little part that I play in it means something to people, and that's like huge. So I'd say this moment right now.
Judging by the line in the autograph hall, it means a lot to a lot of people.
I feel the same way, especially conventions, especially like little 6-year-old girls who are super excited. Like kids coming up are great. The best one I had though was in Calgary, which I know I've talked about before. So if you've suffered through the story, I apologize. But I had this one kid come up and talk to me, and it was just going on and on, and I could take a lot of punishment. I'm Catholic, but it was still going on, and it was just getting to the point where you were about to break it. You're like, oh, thanks for coming so much. It's, we're done here, kind of thing. And I didn't. I powered through, and I noticed that the kid was probably like 16, 17, and his mom was watching me. So he gets done, and he's done talking, and he leaves. And his mom comes up, and she says, I just want you to know my son's autistic, and he hasn't spoken. But he spoke to you for half an hour. And that killed me every time. Like, I'm just so glad that I got to be part of that. Like, my little, stories I read about all the ponies turning evil reacts to someone that way, that I get to do that for someone. I mean, that's the best part.
So here, you mentioned sort of the shift between live theatrical performances versus recording in a studio. We've got a similar question here, talking more about sort of genre. How was it transitioning from a serious show like The Handmaid's Tale to a bubbly children's show like MLB?
Well, I do also, I write some comedy shows, some live comedy shows as well. So I don't only do the serious stuff. But it was certainly a huge relief. It was fun. It balances things out from being in such a heavy world to get to be in such a delightful world. Although, Misty has went through her own struggles as well, and also had her own encounters with the dark side on the journey. But yeah, I will also shout out Allison Court, who is the voice director that we worked with on the show, and she's just amazing and incredible, and is like so fun to work with, and just such an expert. So she really has a huge role in shaping like everything, all the performances and what you guys experience.
And if I might, just because I do a bunch of TV too, and a bunch of theater as well, being actors, like it's funny because, in the fandom we're voice actors, but the expectation is that you can do all genres of, whether it's voice acting, film acting, television acting, live acting, comedy, and then you've got genres of voice acting on top of that. And we're expected, as creative vocal people, even when we're on television, we're using our voice as well, but we're constantly playing villains, heroes, sidekicks, and others. That's what makes up story. That's what we do. So, when it comes to playing something so arch and villainous and nasty and weird, and then something so loving, kind, and generous, it's like our world. And every story just about is that, the good, loving, eventually overcomes when they go through any kind of journeys. And I think as artists, everybody here, even comic stuff, you've got to go through that journey of stories. You've got to be able to play and voice every genre of villain, hero, sidekick, and others, just so that the whole, people can have faith and be inspired and ignited. If we only played the good, kind, easy, joyful ones, I don't think we'd be as well-rounded as human beings or understand the stories well enough. That's my 2 cents, but I think it helps. Yeah.
So, Bahir, speaking of Misty, I got it right that time. Mystery? No, there. Misty. Were you expecting your character to get that much love from everyone? That's part A of the question, and the other is, what was your favorite scene for Misty and why?
Okay, well, was I expecting that much love? No, I would say it was not something I was expecting. I mean, I knew when I saw her drawing, I knew that she was so cute, and people will probably be into that, but no, it's just been a wonderful surprise how people have received her. A favorite scene. There was a scene that's kind of silly of Misty kind of talking to like a taffy tail, like a stuffed animal, kind of talking to herself, and that was a really fun kind of scene to play. I mean, it's hard for me to remember them all because, like, also in the 2 shows, she has a lot of fun, bumbling moments that are very fun to play. Also, a couple of heroic moments. I don't know if everyone's caught up. I don't want to.
Spoiler alert!
I don't want to spoil anything.
Which series?
Which what?
Which series? Tell your tale, make a mark.
Which series is?
There's the
for the
YouTube series and
spoiler or?
Yeah, which series is the spoiler one?
Oh, well, I just don't know where.
No, she doesn't know
so.
what's been shown yet.
Everyone's
Yeah.
finished Gen 4, right?
So
You can drop me in it if you want to.
no,
It's
no.
fine.
I don't know. Some people are not fully caught up, so I don't know. But they're all really fun.
I made a foolish error earlier and inadvertently revealed that I was not all caught up. I'm not going to be living that one down anytime soon. Thank you, I appreciate that. Bless you. Okay, so... Oh, yeah, I should actually mention. Again, huge round of applause, please, for Jessie for handing out the cards. For folks who joined us a little bit late, if you have questions, or even follow-up questions at this point, for any of our wonderful guests, just put your hand in the air. You will get a golf pencil and a card, scribble down your question, and it will be brought up to me, and I will see if I can work it into the flow of our Q&A. Now, this is one I like. And it's confined to MLP projects, but I do want to open it up actually to all of the projects because I think it's quite applicable more broadly. What was the biggest struggle or hurdle that you had to overcome while working on MLP or other projects in your life?
Convincing my parents cartooning was a career. My dad was always okay with it. My mom, it was like saying you're going into the NBA. Like there's always people who do it, but it's really hard to be one of those people. So, like I said, she's not my biggest fan, but it was a struggle because we had a deal that if I got good grades, I could go wherever I wanted to college. So I was a Phi Beta Kappa, National Merit Scholar, all that crap. And then I said, oh, I'm going to art school. There's no scholarships, so I need some money. And I went to the Kubert School. Past that, it's getting another job. Like it's staying employed. Like you're never, like we were talking about when you never make it. My job's not drawing, my job's staying employed. I have to keep lining more stuff up.
Yeah. My greatest hurdle was realizing that I'm enough. As a very young child, I was labeled retarded. That's the word they used. And they didn't, I'd know at the time that autism, ADHD, ADD, those weren't things, but I was put on Ritalin. I was very bullied. I was very, I struggled. And I didn't think that I was enough, but I did have my imagination. We talked about that. We talked about the world that I lived in. And then in grade 2, they wanted me to repeat kindergarten because I wasn't okay. But my parents convinced them no. And in grade 2, they wanted to skip me forward 2 grades. And in grade 6, they wanted to skip me forward 2 grades. And I have a doctorate, and I have, of course, it's like, and I had 3 scholarships to go to university, and of course I went to theater school. But you realize no one defines you but you. And when you realize that you are perfect just the way you are, and you have so much to offer and so much to give, and nobody can define you, and what other people say about you is none of your business. What you say about you is your business, and you are beautiful and perfect and successful and wonderful.
Can I just say, you told that to me about a year ago, and I remind myself of that like at least twice a week.
I know, yeah.
I do.
Because we forget, we think we're not good enough, we think we're not okay.
Well, and on that note, I guess for me, it was like, so, when I started out my career as Brian Doe, that was the name that I used professionally for a really long time. And I recently adopted my mother's maiden name into my professional name. So now I'm going by Brian Doe. And the moment I slated for the first time, and for those of you who don't know what slate is, basically in a voice audition, basically you say your name and any other information that they may ask for either before or after your audition MP3. And I said Brian Doe for the first time in an audition for Polly Pocket, where I got to work with Ishi Riddell, the show director of Request for Girls Again. And I felt so whole when I said it, because I'm both Chinese and English. I'm a bunch of things, ethnicity-wise. And to be able to honor every part of me and every part of me and my family's legacy and where I'm from really helped me further accept who I was, because that was a really big challenge for me too. That was a huge challenge. So.
The biggest struggle? Oh, there are many struggles. I think it's. I think. It's many of the things have been said. It's the constant looking for another job. There's and believing in yourself and believing that you are enough, and that you have what it takes, and trusting your imagination to carry you forward. And maybe now is the time, I don't know. Shout out Ellie Ray. I'm also a student of Ellie's, who helped empower me in this voice
She was my
career.
teacher.
It takes a lot of confidence and courage every time to put yourself out there and try something new that might feel like, oh, is this going to be embarrassing or something, but not taking yourself too seriously. Just be like, it's okay to try things, and as an actor, you face a lot of rejection, and failure or whatever. Like, you don't get a lot of the parts you audition for, and you kind of have to not let that bring you down. And then, because then you get times like this where it's just like celebrating, and you get to feel really good. So, I don't know if that really answered the question, but it's like a lot of ups and downs, it's a ride.
That absolutely answered the question, and all of those hurdles.
And it's like that rejection does not define you.
Thanks so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for more TrotCon experience. Bye, guys.